That's a guy, he ain't even thinking about money. He's thinking about greatness, and we need that. We need that in Miami.
Time to tune in. Now another sports center. It's a movement.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith. Now, the reason you clicked on the thumbnail, we're going to talk about the Jalen Ramsey injury and if that's going to have the Dolphins secondary even miss a step. Because, yes, we had injuries, but, man, we had one of the best secondaries last year. We're going to talk about some new additions to that secondary. Where does Jalen Ramsey fit in this? When he may come back this year? All that good stuff. But before I do that, I want to spend just a few seconds talking about my special guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take and welcome Jason Sarney from DolphinsWire.USA.com. Man, this dude has some of the hottest Dolphins content out there on the internet. Jason, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Doug. Thank you so much for having me. Really kind words. I really, truly appreciate it.
I'm so happy and blessed to have you on the show. You're a legend amongst the Dolphins community, dude. And, man, we're about to talk some Miami Dolphins football, baby. I'm ready.
It is here, man. I can't wait. Fans, I've never seen the fan base collectively more excited. And it's the reason is because there's so much talent and there's so much expectation with the talent. There's always been expectation in Miami. Come on. Yeah. But the talent is best it's been in
Super Bowl, baby, type expectations. Let's just say it.
Yes. The expectations are to go to a Super Bowl and win it. If you go, you win it. But the expectation is to be in the equation for it. Absolutely.
Exactly. Now, we're going to talk about the unfortunate news, but this episode is going to be very positive. This is not to bash our team, to bash players. Injuries happen. It's a gladiator sport. But Jalen Ramsey has a torn meniscus. Better that than an ACL. They're saying he may be back as early as December. Who knows? Could be later. Jason, man, what are your thoughts on this whole situation with Jalen Ramsey? And then after this, we'll talk about the secondary and who we drafted and why Cam Smith is so special.
Great tease on that, because I can't wait for that. And that's why I have a little less of a gloom and doom. Oh, my God. Look, this has happened to us before, Doug.
Yeah.
It's actually happened in the preseason, early in the preseason, too many times for top-tier players. 3 huge franchise ramification training camp injuries in my lifetime right off the bat. This is ranked probably number 2, and I'm going to rank them for you. And I go a ways back. You know what I mean? The number 1 in my mind training camp injury was Ryan Tannehill a couple of years ago, going on that, non-contact. You hear non-contact, the world's over, because you know what you're going to hear. A number of years back in 1997. Remember that year for a minute, Doug. We're going to get back to that year. But Teal Green, number 1 draft pick for the Dolphins out of the U.
I got that rookie card, man.
Unfortunately, that could have been a banger. Listen, everyone goes to the bust when they talk about Teal Green, but this dude had all the skills in the world. He had an unfortunate injury, which ended his career. He tried valiantly to get back. That's number 3. And then we have Ramsey. And this is such a huge ramification because we don't get to see peak Ramsey and X. But what we get a chance to see, and here's the spin, we get a chance to see who's going to take over. I'm not going to say the cliche phrase that I think we're all over. We're all over it. But we're ready to see who could step up. That's another cliche, but I'm going to avoid the other one. I'm excited for it, the opportunity that this brings.
Jalen Ramsey, when he got injured, I'm like, man, it's like the Darius Rucker song for Hootie and the Blowfish. How the Dolphins make me cry. I'm going to say this, man, and I'm about to go over some of the names we have on our roster. And it's great, bro. It's great. Like, before we even get into the draft and, like, who we have on our roster, dude, we got Kader Kohou, came out of the middle of nowhere, who's playing like an elite veteran in the NFL. Just absolutely looks phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Kader Kohou came out the gate, and obviously Sauce Gardner crushed it, right? He lit up. But, man, Kader Kohou, our little secret. You know what I mean? He does it all.
I mean, fortunately, look, that's one of the levels of team build is the scrap heap. That's why there's 90 players in camp versus a 53-man roster. When you look around the league, there are gems especially in the quarterback market. Like, we know it. We're not going to beat the drum about Nick Needham. You know, Kader Kohou is another cornerback that's been an undrafted find. The Dolphins have had a sprinkle amount of players in a few different positions that they've, you know, hit on, but have given contracts to and have given second or third contracts to. So it's development, and that process works. So for Kader wasn't just a hit. Kader actually was basically in the draft class. You know what I mean? I call him in the draft class, right? Yeah. And he was graded out as one of the better slot rookies. Forget undrafted rookies. Overall in coverage. In general in coverage, correct. So forget slot. In coverage, right? So A++ blue chip find on Kader Kohou. Trill Williams' movement to safety is really a huge opportunity thing as well. Yeah. Because Jalen, remember that whole I'm a defensive back situation, which everyone loved because, you know, but now Trill Williams could correct people and say, no, I'm a defensive back. Because that's what I think this positionless football in the backfield of the secondary. That's what I love. I don't want positionless football in the offensive line. I want purebreds at those positions. But when someone can rotate inside, outside, safety, corner,
your value goes up, man.
Oh yeah, the only person the only person who can't do that is Xavier Howard. I don't want to say can't. The only person who is a 1,000% when he's on the field outside cover corner is Xavier Howard. You can make a case that every other defensive back can do multiple jobs, some of them multiple positions, and those jobs within those positions. So again, there's people on this roster who can, in the aggregate, make up for Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yes. Come close. I love it, man. And let's go over some of these names, man. Now I have the roster pulled up right now. I'm just now all these guys are gonna make the team, right? But we got Eli Apple, Justin Bethel, Ethan Bonner, Tino Ellis, Xavier Howard, Noah Igbeneghu, Kader Kohou, Jalen Ramsey, Cam Smith, Bryce Thompson, Trill Williams. What's up? Friend of the show, by the way. Shout out to Trill, man. Trill is freaking awesome.
Those QSDBs, those. Ooh.
Yeah, and then of course you could kind of throw Keon Cross and Elijah Campbell. So not all these guys are going to make a team, but
don't forget Needham on the active PUP. Remember that?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, Nick Needham as well too. Who's a playmaker? He is such a playmaker, man. Love me some Nick Needham all day, man. So it's so competitive. And just like going down here, you hear about Cam Smith locking down veterans already in training camp. And then going right to Jalen Ramsey, who just got injured. What did I do wrong? Could I have did something better? What's your thought? Man, that's a guy, he ain't even think about money. He's thinking about greatness. And we need that. We need that in Miami.
I really like that.
In Miami, and I love it. This secondary is electric. It's exciting. Trill Williams, unfortunately, got injured versus the Eagles in preseason last year, right? Dude, you see him knocking heads. He looks like Jalen Ramsey. And when I've interviewed Trill Williams before, he's been on this show. Trill Williams, man, he said Jalen Ramsey, that's who he models this game after. It's crazy, man. Everything is just falling full circle. Now, we've had injuries. We had a lot of injuries. And, you know, they're going to happen again this year, unfortunately. But I'd like to think that someone like Eli Apple, who, look, he runs his yapper, but he did have some big games for the Bengals. And he didn't do so hot in New York, didn't do so hot for the Saints. But when going to Bengals, I mean, he was a part of that secondary, right? But he's also the reason they lost the Super Bowl, too, right? He's battle tested, but let's keep it real.
Then there's that.
Who would you rather have on the roster? Noah Igbeneghu or Eli Apple? I'd rather have Eli Apple.
I'm not going to make – I mean, look, it's a great question, and it's fun debate. And you know what? It's almost like they're two of the same kind of people with different intangibles. Yeah. They're both high-end drafted individuals that didn't pan out, both first-round picks that didn't pan out. So there's your comparison. Yeah. So if you're looking at competition, I like this dogfight in the sense of my career is going here, but then went there, versus my career went the higher up of the arc because he's had more years in him. You know what I mean? Right, Eli's had a little bit more time to not make good, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Now Noah's running out of time to make good. There's a different urgency there.
Okay.
Okay. And what I did notice at camp when I was there was, yes, I noticed the tutelage of, Jalen Ramsey from Trill and Cam Smith and Jalen being active and actually on crutches, just talking to teammates and coaching up.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that with other potential injured players, but neither here nor there. But the fact that he was doing that was great. But Coach Sam Madison, coaching up, not just verbally as coaches who might not have played the game do, footwork clinics, doing it himself, getting the sweat going himself, literally showing these cornerbacks his tricks of the trade. I would argue up against anyone out there that from 1999 to 2002, he was the best cover corner in the league. And now he's teaching his tricks of the trade to cover corners on the Dolphins, to second-round draft picks. He was a second-round draft pick in 1997. We have a second-round draft pick in 2023. I was watching them talk. I can't wait.
Dude, it's beautiful, man. And when we got Cam Smith, it was so weird, right? First of all, I'm happy we got him. No regrets. But at first, I'm like, where is the O-line? I was so angry. I was like, you better get a right tackle. I'll punch you in the face, Mike McDaniel. I'm talking to myself. I would never do that. I think Mike's a great guy. But, man, at that point as a fan, you just looking at the TV, your spit's flying all over the place. Then we take a deep breath and we look at the tape. Now, I knew who Cam Smith was before we drafted him. So my anger did not last long because I saw we had more draft picks and stuff like that. And that's another episode for another day. But what I'll say is that, man, I absolutely love Cam Smith's tape. Open field tackler, ball deflector, intercepting machine. He could stop you in the slot. He could stop you in the deep ball. He's scrappy. He doesn't get too many penalties, man. He's a very, very good secondary player, man. So it's one of those things like, it's all right, man. Do I get the Ferrari or do I get, the Toyota Corolla, man? You're going to get the Ferrari because that Corolla probably going to be waiting for you later. And
unless there's a Yukon. There wasn't a Yukon available. Like if there was a freaking amazing truck that was like a generational powerhouse, I could see it. But there wasn't anyone that was screaming. People picked that people loved at that time. So when rookie tight ends don't do much. I'm over that. But I love Cam Smith.
Cam Smith is going to be so. Yeah, he's gonna light it up. He'll get game time. I can almost guarantee week one
right away.
And let's just talk about the starting four just for a moment. Okay, Xavier Howard's one. Boom. Right. Let's get him off the list. He's starting week one. Kader Kohu. Boom. Number 2. Right. Let's see who else we got.
And then you got Cam factored right in there if they're going to put him in the slot.
Cornerback number 3, probably, man. Maybe 4.
Or I mean, this is where it becomes interesting because Kader really made bones in the slot as well. But the funny thing is, he was almost also an emergency, very big help when Nick Needham went down, who was their slot guy. But Needham was initially an outside guy. Yeah. So with a guy like Cam Smith, who is just a stud and maybe a better talent than Needham and Kohu, I mean, Cam Smith's an SEC talent. Let's just be fair. And also, to be fair, football players obviously look like football players, but certain football players look like freaking football ballers, right? At those certain positions. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, those look like edge rushers. You know what I'm saying? Cam Smith looks like an alpha lockdown corner, front to back, every aspect of him, even his laces, every aspect.
Jason, I'm about to run through a wall. Right now. I'm excited. This is great. This is
top great. 3 players that I enjoyed watching this couple of days.
So we could probably both agree that the number 4 spot could be between Nick Needham. It could be Justin Bethel. I could see Eli Apple, perhaps. But here's the thing. Once he comes back in December or January, because the final game of season, it's the first or second week of January.
January 3rd, whatever it is.
Yeah, something like that. Then he could be ready by playoffs, man. And we could get a fresh Jalen Ramsey who decides games.
Yeah.
Who decides games. So Xavier Howard, I'm going to expect him to be in and out. He'll get banged up. He's going to give it his all. He's going to give it his all. He'll be in and out. He'll get banged up, but he'll, there was times where I'm like, man, it's been like 3-4 weeks already, man, and you're questionable, but you go out there anyway. I love it. You're the Teron Armstead of our secondary.
Great comparison. I was talking to somebody, a very, very cool. I was talking to Solo D. Solo D is my guy, from Miami Sports Music, and we were talking about Teron. Teron was doing some off-field work, and when he was PUP'd, it's like Field of Dreams. You can't touch the white line, right? You can't cross that line if you're PUP'd.
Yeah.
But he was doing some, sideline just work, and we were like he's fine. He's gonna be fine. We know what he's gonna do. Like, he doesn't need to do anything. That's kind of the same idea. Like, we know what we're gonna get with him. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the idea of like cornerback number 6, number 5, number 7. It's going to be scrappy for who gets playing time, and they're going to be, what you create is a combustion machine of cornerbacks who are ready to pick off the ball, like a Nick Needham, right? They're going to have that mindset, and I love that. So, yes, absolutely stinks that Jalen Ramsey going to be a week 1, but everything happens for a reason. This is going to be our year to win the Super Bowl, and this could be one of the biggest blessings for us, that he comes back healthy, because he's a guy who, he gets not as bad as Xavier Howard, but he gets banged up and he's in and out of there. But he's a soldier, right? He's creating big plays. That's Jalen Ramsey, right? How many times on this show I've said, oh, who's better, Xavier Howard, Jalen Ramsey? The debate has been had here, right? Shout out to my co-host, who's actually a Rams fan, right? Adrian Soup Campbell. We've had the debate before on who's better. But for them to be on the same team, man, it's going to be exciting. And I'm not really that worried that when the playoffs come and it's, we got all these injuries, that, man, we got so much depth on defense, D-line, linebackers, cornerbacks. Man, it's the bodega store, man. What do you want? We got it.
I mean, the only thing I would love to get some extra shipments in the bodega. Let's get some more inside linebackers. Let's figure that out a little bit more. We got a couple of undrafted rookies who are good candidates. But you know what?
Yeah.
There were 2 released players. I mean, today, as we tape, what are we on? We're on Wednesday night here. Yeah. So, a couple of Michael Turk, punter, was released. Michael Bennett, safety, was released. So there's one roster spot after another move was made. A safety was brought in. So what do they do? Is it Dalvin Cook? Do they go out and get an inside linebacker for depth? Do they activate Nick Needham, which they could do in an hour if they want, because he's an active PUP. He will be active when he's 100%. People have been asking, what do you think he's going to be active when he's 100%? Because they don't need him to rush. But I don't think it's going to be very late. So they will get players. They will become that playoff team, and getting Ramsey back in the playoffs. I mean, just think about saying that again. Getting Ramsey back when you're a playoff team, making the playoffs without Ramsey the whole year.
Yeah.
That can happen. And then they become a Super Bowl push. Let's hope.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, Jason, man, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Y'all know me. I cover the whole NFL, not just Dolphins, but y'all know what my favorite team is, Miami Dolphins. And I love talking it, especially, man, with a guy who's a legend like Jason Sarney. Jason, tell the good folks where they could find you at, man.
I really appreciate the kind words, Doug, and you do a terrific job. I love your coverage. I love a guy like you who really could break down X's and O's and just evaluate. Love it. I love it. So you can find me, as Doug did, on the screen, Dolphins Wire, through USA Today. I love writing for them, and also just put out a newsletter. So for all you Dolphins out there, it's called Dolphins Weekly. You can go to my bio on Twitter and hit that link. Free subscription for everybody. And I'm heading to Canton to see my favorite co-favorite defensive player of all time get inducted, Zach Thomas. So can't wait for that, and I can't wait for all the good things ahead in this great community. And you said it. Let's talk Super Bowl this year, because it's a legitimate conversation point.
Turn 100 for the touchdown, King Crown, gain inside, leading your town, hit you faster than the sound, bad boy, throw it down, yeah, I'm ill, not my will, don't cop a fill the house, listen to the roaring crowd, drop a light, calm it down, Heisman, all the haters mouth, superhero hit them, wow, packing more action than bing, boom, bam, pow, touchdown for the win, we live, subscribe right now.
Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith, where I cover all 32 NFL teams, plus NFL exclusive interviews. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for the alerts, comment below, and we'll catch you next time on the Touchdown with Doug Smith.